This is Abe Friedtanzer from Awards Buzz, and I'm so excited to be speaking with Kaley Cuoco about Based on a True Story. How are you, Kaley?
I'm awesome. So good to speak to you.
Can you tell me, are you a fan of true crime podcasts in your own life?
I am such a fan. This is true story for me. I literally go to bed at night with my little earbuds in watching Dateline. And that's my good night show. You know, everyone has like their good night show. That's my show. I've been obsessed with it for ages. In fact, I have memories of my mom and I watching on this little tiny TV in our house when I was really little. We used to watch Unsolved Mysteries together. And that's like a memory I have with my mom. So this has been a part of me for a long time. So when the show came around, I was like, did they write? Did they? This is me. This woman is me.
It's a good show, it's a fun show, but how does it rate? Like the actual storyline, is that as good as what you might really hear?
Yeah, because I won't get into it, but I'll just say this: our showrunner, some things are true to life in this show. So there are pieces of this that are very that have happened to him, and so it was interesting to kind of read it and go, "Oh my God, like what parts of this is true?" So I've watched so much true crime, I believe everything now. I'm like, "Oh, that could happen. Yep, that could happen. I've seen that. I've seen that. I'm a pro."
What is the mood like on set? Because this is definitely a comedy, but it's also pretty dark.
Oh my God. Well, when I'm around, it's a comedy. Chris is like, can we like, I think this is more serious. I'm like, we got to find the comedy in this. We got to find the comedy in this. I think it's so awesome working with Chris because he really does he grounds the show while I'm kind of like all over the place. But it is one of the most fun sets I have ever been on. There's a lot, it's a lot of love, a lot of laughter. And it is, I mean, that's the what I love about the show and this tone. It's a very difficult tone, but when you nail it, it can be very brilliant. But it's kind of like what we did in Flight Attendant. It's very like, is it funny? Is it scary? Is it sad? Like it's all those things at once. And you got to find very the nuances, which can be challenging, but when it comes up on screen and it works, it's like, ah, okay, I think we did that.
Well, it's funny that you say Chris is grounded because I was thinking about it in comparison to the flight attendant, that it's sort of just as like off the wall. But I think that Ava is a lot more grounded than Cassie. Like she's the one who knows what she's doing a little more, and he's the one who, even though he's more serious, he's panics a lot more. She is much more in control.
You're totally right about that. As far as the characters, 100%. In real life, though, it's the opposite. But yes, you're totally right. Yeah, this is not a Cassie role by any means, but as far as the tone, it's just funny. Chris is very we came at this from such different views as actors. He loves to like prepare and rehearse and all, and I'm like, oh no, we're not doing it. So I freaked him out at first because we have such different, ways that we do things. But it is such a fantastic set, and there's just a lot of laughs. I mean, half the time I'm trying to find the comedy in the darkest moments, which is sometimes I take it a little bit too far. But I always tell Chris and Tom Bateman, I'm like, you guys, the weirder this is feeling, the better it's going to be. Like, this is one of those shows you just have to dive into the deep end and just go there.
You also have fans of yours from The Big Bang Theory who have followed you here without having any sense of what, they're supposed to be in for.
Say that again. Your first part cut out. Say that one more time.
Are there fans of yours from The Big Bang Theory who have followed you here, somehow bypassed the flight attendant, and like this is what they're seeing, and like, what am I watching?
I hope there are fans from the Big Bang Theory. I hope so. I feel like all the things that I've kind of done have had they're not they're all connected in some way and they all follow in a very organic way. But I would think there'd be a few fans in there. I guess if you skipped Flight Attendant, then this is kind of that the version of Flight Attendant for them.
Did you expect this to be something that might be sort of wrapped up or at least left on a crazy cliffhanger with one season, or season two was sort of set from the beginning?
I once I started shooting this show, I knew I wanted to do another season. One, because I think there was more story to tell, and two, I really love this group of people, and this show checks so many boxes. And we shoot in LA. It's the greatest thing ever. But it's just an amazing set, and I love working with Chris. And this cast is lovely, and the writers, and just it goes very deep. So it's just been a really special experience. My first season, I was pregnant the whole time So that was a whole wild thing. And I mean, we wrapped 3 weeks before I had our baby. So it was a wild experience in that way, but we've literally grown up on camera at this point. I've done all the things. So this was kind of cool to show that side. And I'm sure you've heard that was not part of the show originally. They wrote it in later.
Do you have any sense of what's ahead for season two? Not just like story details, but just general tone and arc?
Well, spoiler, there's a baby. And we just started shooting these last few weeks. Actually, we just got back. A lot of the questions that needed answering in the finale are going to be answered immediately. So that'll be cool. So that enables us to kind of move forward. But I mean, honestly, Ava and Nathan are as bad as the serial killer at this point. They have done terrible things. I mean, we're concerned about them. They could literally go to prison for the rest of their life. So they have a lot on the line now. And obviously her being a new mom and them still struggling in that way. There's some really fun stuff. And you can imagine that Tom Bateman's character will probably do some awkward babysitting and that will cause a lot of problems.
I also think this show is not one that really keeps you hanging. It's like something happens, like someone's introduced, and like they're either gonna be dead 5 minutes later, or like
Yeah.
that's like not much waiting around for something big to happen.
No, we move quick. This show moves quick. That's also what I loved about it. The pace is so my style. Yeah, it doesn't leave a lot of things hanging exactly, and we move. So I don't know. It's just a fun watch. And I always kind of felt like it was gonna be like a hidden gem. And I feel like people were gonna maybe experience it a little late. And that's kind of what's happening. I'm starting to get people now who are into it and watching and texting me and be like, oh my God, I just found this show. So I don't know. That's what I thought was going to happen, and it's happening. Which I just always this show is very special. I think.
You're also part of another show that's got a huge fan base, and that's Harley Quinn. What is it like having that as, part of your career?
God, Harley has been. I'm telling you, I get more recognition for Harley Quinn than half the things I've done. I think people hear my voice and they're like, it just has such a core audience, and it has obviously such an epic saga and such a big background. But the way the show is incredible. I've loved being a part of it. I hope it goes on and on and on. The stuff we've gotten away with is criminal. I don't know how we're able to say the things we've said and the storylines we've had, but it's some of the most brilliant writing. And I love playing her.
Well, here at Awards Buzz, we love awards, and I'm curious if there's a show or performance that you've been watching recently that really has made you feel like it's particularly awards worthy.
Oh my gosh, we've watched a lot lately. Does anyone on the Housewives count?
Sure, sure.
I have to, okay, I have to say, I mean, I might be a little biased, but Tom Pelfrey and A Man in Full, I'm just saying. I mean, have you seen him in that show? It's ridiculous. So I'm biased, but I don't care.
I will say the first time I saw him on the show, I didn't realize it was him. So that's got to say something, some sort of.
That's the brilliance. He is such a chameleon. You literally forget it is him in some of these roles. So I may or may not be his biggest fan, but he should be win everything for A Man in Full.
Well, while we wait for season two of Based on a True Story, do you have anything else coming up?
What am I doing? I've actually been on the East Coast while Tom's been shooting a new project. So I just got back and started this. We have a couple things in development for the end of the year. So I'm excited about that. But yeah, and we got a baby now. So life just looks a little different and kind of like how we're maneuvering. But it's fun. It's an adventure.
Thank you so much, Kaylee. It was a real pleasure to speak with you.
Thank you. Yeah, you too. See you soon.